Hi guys, in today's video we are going to be taking a look at two new legendary upgrades that are going to be added into the game for Snapdragon and Footsoldier in Plants vs Zombies Battle for Neighborville. All the footage in this video was captured by Germanshu, so please go and take a look at their channel where they have done two separate videos on these upgrades. I have put the links in the description. Also, please be aware that these upgrades are in a very early state and are subject to change. Germanshu did suggest that if anything, the visuals of these upgrades will change. As usual, just before we begin, remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the content on this channel and want to help it grow. Anyway, let's get started. First up, let's take a look at the legendary upgrade for Snapdragon that has been given the working title Magma Blob. So as you'd expect with all legendary upgrades we have seen so far, this changes Snapper's primary weapon. So now instead of shooting a beam of fire, he now shoots blobs of fire that not only do direct damage, but when the blobs hit the floor, they create these little flames that do damage over time. The weapon itself does between 1 and 5 damage, which of course is less than Snapper's typical 7 points of damage with the flame blower. In the video it seems like Snapper still does a crazy amount of damage, but Germanshu was playing against AI, which tend to have less health than online players. Now, the Magma Blobs are able to be lobbed. The projectiles have an arc similar to Snapdragon's secondary weapon, but instead of one fireball, you throw multiple projectiles in quick succession. This means that unlike with his default primary weapon that acts like a beam, by using the Magma Blobs you can provide yourself with cover and shoot over objects into an area. Of course, as you are able to do damage over time, this will probably be very effective against groups of enemies. I imagine that in Turf Takeover, for example, it will be used similar to how Engineer uses the concrete launcher. You can just spam the weapon from afar and it will likely get vanquishes. So I imagine it might become quite annoying. So there are a couple of downsides to this ability, which I always like to see. So the first thing is that you are doing less damage per second than with the default weapon. But the most significant drawback is the fact that this primary overheats much faster than the flame blower, which again in turn decreases the maximum damage output. Finally, as with all legendary upgrades, it's likely that this will cost 5 perk points, limiting the number of perks you can use. Before we move on to the Footsoldier upgrade, I just want to mention that there was no footage that showed whether this Snapdragon upgrade replaces the flame blower or if it replaces both the flame blower and flare ball, but Germanshu did reply to someone in the comment section that Magma Blob only replaces the flame blower, so you will still be able to use Snapper's long range attack. Now let's move on to Footsoldier's legendary upgrade, which has a working title of Laser. So going off that, I don't think that this weapon is intended to be paired with the StuntMan costume you can see in the video. It's more likely going to be one of the futuristic Footsoldier costumes. So the primary weapon change for Footsoldier is that instead of his rapid firing assault rifle, he now has a slow rate of fire automatic. This means you can hold down the trigger and it will shoot automatically, but the rate of fire is just very slow. So instead of your 7 damage per bullet you would usually get, the damage of this weapon is doubled to compensate for the rate of fire. So you're going to be doing 14 points of damage per shot with greatly increased accuracy. Also, instead of an ammo count, this weapon has a cooldown meter and you can shoot a maximum of 18 bullets before it overheats. The total damage output if you land all 18 shots is 252, which is considerably lower than what Footsoldier can do with his default setup, where he can do a maximum of 315. However, the most interesting thing about this weapon is the fact that Footsoldier's bullets will now bounce off surfaces. Similar to Snapper's upgrade, since the bullets are able to bounce, you can hit enemies when you are behind cover or from unsuspecting angles. I also think it will make for some funny trick shots. Someone described this upgrade as a combination of Sky Trooper's costume paired with Camo Ranger's damage and General Supremo's magazine system from Garden Warfare 2, and I think that's a pretty accurate analogy. So I think what's nice about this upgrade is the fact that it allows you to play Footsoldier as a long range sniper kind of character, the total opposite of how you would normally play him. You can support your team from the back instead of running in and being on the front line, although most people who main Footsoldier really enjoy that aspect of being able to be super aggressive. I personally like to snipe, so I'm interested to play with the upgrade and mess around with some of his perks. I think upgrades like Ranger, for example, will be a more viable option now. I do think perhaps the damage of the weapon should be increased a little, as it currently does far less damage than the default weapon, or I think the fire rates could be increased a bit. You could use a rapid fire upgrade, but if laser costs 5 perk points like the other legendaries, you won't be able to, as rapid fire costs 3 points and you have a total of 7 to spend. Overall, whilst I think these legendary upgrades are cool, I kind of feel that Popcap seem to be getting slowly lazier with them. I think the upgrades are getting less creative, but nevertheless, I like how they've changed the weapons. It's interesting, and it does change the way you play these characters. Probably changes Foot Soldier's style the most, as running in won't be as effective with this weapon, I don't think. I like the bouncing bullet mechanic for Foot Soldier and the ability to lob Magma Blobs with Snapdragon. So I'm still looking forward to when these get released. Anyway guys, that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what your thoughts are on these upgrades in the comments below. But other than that, remember to subscribe and I shall see you in the next one. Okay, thanks guys. Bye. Bye.